Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we are going to solve another SQL problem, trips and users. So let's see. So we have a table trips and ID, client ID, driver ID, city ID, status and request ID, request at are the columns. ID is the primary key column with unique values for this table. Table holds all taxi trips. Each trip has a unique ID, while client ID and driver ID are foreign keys to the user IDs at the users table. So client ID and driver ID are the foreign keys to the user ID at the users table. Okay, status is an enum category type of completed, cancelled by driver, cancelled by client. Okay, and we have this users table, user ID, which is the primary key for this table. Band, the table holds all users. Each user has a unique user ID, and role is an enum type of client, driver or partner. Band is an enum type of yes and no. Okay, so the cancellation rate is calculated by dividing the number of cancelled by client or driver request, number of cancelled request with unbanned users by the total number of requests with unbanned user. So cancellation rate is computed by dividing the number of cancelled request with unbiased user by the total number of request with unbiased user on that day. Write a solution to find the cancellation rate of request with unbanned users. Both client and driver must not be banned each day between 10:1 to 10:3 with at least one trip. Round cancellation rate to 2 decimal points. Return the result table in any order. The result format is in the following example. So we have the trips table. So we have the ID, client ID, driver ID, city ID, status, completed, cancelled by driver, cancelled by client, and date requested at. And this user table, we have the user ID, if the user is banned or not, yes and no, and the role, client and driver. Okay, so here in this users table we have the data for both client and driver, the user ID, and in this trips table, this client ID, this is client ID will be from here, and driver ID will be from here. Okay, so like in this table we have both in users ID column. Okay, so our output is cancellation rate is this. So again, if we look at here, so cancellation rate is computed by dividing the number of cancelled request by the total number of request. So in 2013 10:1 there are 4 requests in total. So 4 requests in total, 2 of which were cancelled. However, the request with ID 2 was made by a banned client. So client ID was 2. Okay, and here if we see, client ID 2 is banned, but we only want unbanned users, right? So we have to ignore this, right? So it is ignored in the calculation. Hence there are 3 unbanned requests in total, one of which was cancelled. So cancellation rate is 1/3. So this we have to cancel. So out of these 3, 1 is cancelled, 2, and total we have 3. So 1/3. Similarly for second, there are 3 requests in total. So there are 3 requests in total, all of them are completed, so that's why there are no cancelled request, so that's why it is 0. For third, there are 3 requests in total. 3 requests in total, only 1 is cancelled, and the request with ID 8 was made by a banned client, so it is ignored. Hence there are 2 unbanned requests in total, one of which are cancelled. So we have one is cancelled, so 1/2, and we have to round the value by 2 decimal places. Okay, so I think now question should be clear, right? So we have these 2 table. We only want to focus on unbanned users, and we just want day between this. Okay, and our banned information, if the client is banned or not, is here, and our trip status is here. Because we have to focus only on unbanned users and this time, so that means definitely we have to apply a where clause where our client user ID should be unbanned and request date should be between these, right? So what we can do, let's suppose if we write select star from trips, right, where my request id, request at, should be in between this is what they have given, right, and the client id, they should be, client and driver should be unbanned, right? So if we write client id, and banned and not banned information is here, right? So what we can do, if we write like this, so client id should not be in select user id from users where band is equal to yes. So here what we are saying, client id should not be in select the user id from users, select this user id from user where band is equal to yes. So we will get this 2, and we are saying from our trips table select only those client id which are not banned. This is giving you banned clients, and we are selecting not in, so all the clients which are not in the banned list. So this is for your client. Similarly, because this users table contains information for driver also, and in our case driver id is a separate column, so we can do the same thing, but now instead of client id we will do our driver id. So our driver id should not be in select user id from user where band is equal to yes, right? So our driver should also be unbanned, right? So let's see what we get if we run this. User id is a known users id, okay. So here is our output, what we are getting. So we are getting this 3, this 2, and these 2, okay. So now at least this is our total, right, total request on this day. So if we do a group by these values, and somehow, so after we will do group by and count everything, we will get this value, right? So what I'm saying, if I do select my, if let's do this, so count star as total, and if I'm doing group by, group by 1 means request id. So you remember this table, okay. So now we have, for 1 we have these 3, 2 we have these 2, and for 3 we have these 2 columns. So if we do this, then so this is our 3, 2, and 2, this is our denominator, right? So here the question was dividing the number of cancelled requests with unbanned users by the total number of requests with unbanned user. So these are all our unbanned users, right, because we are filtering it. So these are all unbanned users between this, and now we are calculating the total, so by the total number of requests. So this is our total. So denominator, we are already ready with the denominator, right? So if I go back again, select star from this, so our denominator is ready, 3, 2, and 2, okay. Now we have to somehow find this, we have to count this cancelled by client, we have to count this user, right? So what we can do, one option is we put this in a CTE, like any a temporary table, right? So here we can say let this be a, by the way, you can put any name you want, okay, instead of CTE, it's just a table name. So with CTE as this, so now if I do select star from CTE, we will get the same output. So this is our current status, okay. So now what we want, definitely want a group by, right? So our answer should be like, we want this request date in our answer, right? So request date as day we want from CTE, okay. And we have to, because it is here like this multiple columns, so we definitely want a group by, we want to do a group by request at, right? So now how do we calculate the percentage, right? So we already do, if we do count star, we already know like count star is our total, because that's what we saw already, right? If we do a group by and do a count star, we will get 3 for 1st October, right? So this is our denominator is ready. Now we want our numerator, right? So we have to count this one value. So my status, if my status is not completed, get my count of all the status which are not completed, right? Give me those count. So that's what we want, right? So give me the count of, because we are already doing a group by, so let's focus only on this group. So give me the count of all the rows where status is not equal to completed, right? So then we will get this one, right? So how we can write that? So we can do give me, instead of count we can also do like sum all the rows. We want a sum. Okay, so case when my status is not equal to completed, then 1, else 0, and end. This is the syntax for case statement. So here what I am doing sum all the values. So whenever my status is not equal to completed, then return 1, else return 0, and whenever the value will be returned, sum all those values. So it will come here. Case when status is not equal to completed, this will be false, so 0 will be returned. Then here also 0, and then here will be 1. So then sum all the values. 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1, divided by this, here we are already getting 3, right? So as this should be our cancellation rate. So and we have to round our values. So let's run this. So now you see we are almost there, and we just have to do a round. So we can use this round function, round all this value. So we put this whole in a bracket to 2 decimal places. So now if we run, now it is accepted. So if we can submit, this is accepted. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Now can we, because here we are writing with a temporary table, right? So is it possible that can we do it in like single table? Like, so here what we were doing, we were yeah, here, right? So is it possible that we don't create the CTE and do everything here, right? So let's see. So here let's remove this. Okay, let's keep this for now, and we will change this itself. Okay, so here where clause will remain the same, right? Client ID not in here, driver not in here, and my request ID is here. So this one is fixed, right? Because we have to apply this filter as per the question. So these are fixed. And now if we do select, so whatever we were doing here, right? So I can bring this here. So with CT, let's remove this with CT. Okay, now so what we want this request as day, and then we want to use only our trips table, right? So here in this, earlier we were doing a group by, now we have to somehow group our result here, right? We will use the same thing here. So if I do, because now we know window function, right? Because if you don't know window function, then I have already created one video here on window functions, and I think in most of the questions we are already using some window function here, so you can go and watch those videos. So here what we want, So let's get the total first, right? So count 1, you can do star also, over. So we have to count partition by request ID. So if we do this, so it is going to give me, so for example, these three, suppose these three were the columns, right? Do we see the column? No. So these three were the, suppose, the column. Then we are saying partition by request ID. So this will be my one group, and count everything, because this will already be filtering my result. So count everything, partition by request ID, right? So this will be my denominator, right? So this part is sorted. Now we have to take care of this part, right? So what we can do, so we can write the same thing actually. So we can just copy it, same here, exact we are copying. And what we can say, calculate this over, and we will write the same thing, partition by request ID. Okay, and let's comment it out, and we have to do a round, same as what we were doing before, right? Partition by this one, 2 as cancellation rate. So let's run. Okay, so here what we are getting, so we are getting like duplicate rows, right? So what we can do, we can just write here distinct. Now it is accepted. Why we were getting duplicate rows? Because we are, if you remember, in window function, table, like the rows will not lose their identity, just new columns get added, like based on your aggregation, but each column retains their identity. That's why we were getting duplicate rows. Okay, because here we are using like window function, like partitioning the request ID, and because of this we were getting all the rows, right? 3 2 2, all the rows, and we are just doing a partition, and just a new column is getting added without losing any row identity. So we got without collapsing any rows. That's why we were getting duplicates, and we are just removing those duplicates based on this distinct. Okay, so if we can submit, this is also accepted. Okay, so here we are doing the same thing but without using any CTE. So I hope this one is also clear, right? So here we just copied the same thing here, right? So whatever we wrote earlier, we just wrote here, but now we were just saying do partition by request ID. Instead of doing a group by, we were just doing a partition by group ID. And same here, count, here we can write count star also, we can write count 1 star whatever, and partition by request ID. This everything else is same, right? So I hope now this one is also clear, and you can do like a variety of things here. You can create a, instead of, like, for example, here you can keep this in a table. So what you can do, we can you can create a table, like maybe another CTE with this filter, and you can just say select star from that CTE. Okay, and rest keep everything is same, but right, is it making sense? Like instead of writing this 2 times, I am saying like create a table with CTE using this, and then instead of writing this whole table, you can just say select star from CTE, which will give you the basically the same thing. Okay, so now here we were using sum, we can do the same thing with count as well. So if I run this, so here our answer is coming wrong, and all our cancellation rate is now 1. So why is it like that? Because here what count does, count is actually counting the non-null values. Okay, so here what it is saying, if it is not completed then 1. So when we are saying then 1, it is a non-null value, And when we are saying, instead of like when my status is not completed, then it returns 0. It is also a non-null value, right? Because we are returning 0, so it's not null. So that's why in all the cases it is saying like it is counting something, so it will return 3. Oh, 3 divided by the total was 3, so 3 by 3 is 1. Like similarly 2 by 2 and 2 by 2 for other dates, right? So what we can do, instead of returning L0, what we can do, we can remove this. So now what it works, so how it will work, it is saying if status is not equal to cancel, then 1, then it will be counted. Okay, and when the status is completed, it is there is nothing here, so then it won't be counted. Okay, so now the count is counting only the cancelled trips. Okay, so now if we run, now it is accepted. So I hope this is clear. So instead of count, I think better it's we can use sum. So you see here it is returning null, so we can write else 0, because we just want to do a sum, right? It was returning null because there was no cancelled trip. Okay, so now I hope this one is clear. So this was your another approach. You can also write like this, if you can use a if statement. So what you can say, do the sum if the status is not equal to completed, then 1 else 0. Okay, so if we run this, then it is also fine. Okay, so this is just the another way of writing it. Okay, so now I hope this method was clear. Now what, let's see another method using a join. We have this table and our user ID is here. Okay, so we will keep everything same. So oh wait, let me just undo it. So now here, because this filter is anyway, we have to keep this filter, right? So what we are saying, this t, okay, join, do a join with my users table u1 on. So how we are joining, so we should join on like user ID, right? So on my t dot client ID should be equal to u1 dot user ID, users ID, right? And also my that ID should not be banned, so my banned is equal to no, right? Makes sense. We are joining based on this ID, and the ID should not be banned. So similarly what we can do, we can say join again on this user ID. Now my driver ID, so my t dot driver ID should be equal to, so we have to give this u2, so t dot driver ID is equal to u2 dot users ID, and u2 dot band is equal to no, right? One time we are joining with the same table based on the client ID, another time we are joining with the same table based on this driver ID. Okay, and then we can write where my so because we are doing the join already here, so we don't need this, right? Because now this table is already here, where we have already joined the table based on this, so only where clause we are going to need is this one. Okay, so now we have this request ID here. So let's do a select star first. So if I do a select star, and let's see, so we have this huge table, right? I can't even see it properly, So we don't need this. Let's reduce the column. We don't need the city id, and so user id is also coming here 2 times. Band, role. So okay, let's do one thing. What we can say, select t dot, what do we want, t dot client id, t dot driver id, t dot status, and t dot request id, request at. So let's see. Okay, so now we are getting this, right? So now we have this same, because we are filtering, we have already filtered these things. So now we have our uh, total rows are in place, right? So if I do a group by, same like first approach, group by my t dot request id, right? So if I do t request id, request at group by this, then I already have my, if I do a count star, so let's remove this and we can say request as date, request at as day. And now what we want, we have to, our count star is ready, right? If I do a count star, then it is going group by this one, and if we do a count star, we will get this 3 value. So denominator is ready. Now same thing we have to write again. We can write the same like sum. So if we do sum, so case when my t dot status is not equal to completed, then 1, else 0, and as cancellation rate, right? And we have to round this, we have to round this whole thing in with 2 decimal places. So let's run this. So it is accepted. Okay, so we can submit. It is also accepted. Okay, so I hope this is also clear, right? So there we saw different approaches to solve this question, and now I think this should not feel hard. And if there are any doubts, please let me know in the comment section and I will try to help you out. And then yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, thank you, bye.